sloppy noise.
Can't understand the words.
I want to say Paul McCartney called us Slipknot.
I don't know, because I don't really fucking care.
Non-technical, garbage, shit, stinks, horrible.
I like to know exactly what shit sounds like.
If this is the future of rock and roll music, then I don't want to be a part of it anymore.
The drums are totally lacking.
Dude, there's a whole Facebook page. It's Christians Against Slipknot. I think it's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my crap life, man.
You read a better record and then go do it and then talk to me. You know, have fun at work on Monday.
We grew up in a real religious family, and but then I think I saw Paranoid on MTV, and then got intrigued by the dark side.
I don't know, I guess I started listening to Maiden probably around 11 or so, but I mean, I grew up with Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan and all that kind of shit.
My father had a huge collection of vinyl, and you know, they were kind of like ex-hippie, kind of pothead sort of vibe around my house, so there was always a party going on, and there was always music playing. Everything from Black Sabbath, Master of Reality, to Bob Seger, to Pink Floyd, to the Rolling Stones, to The Who.
Metal was just an evolution of some of the crazy guitar, like Johnny Winter, you know, stuff like that was just really on fire.
And that's what drew me to metal music was, you know, the technicalities of guitar. And I don't like, you know, being genre. Obviously, you know, we're a metal band. There's no denying that. But I don't even really necessarily listen to metal. I find myself listening to the Beatles and Led Zeppelin a lot still.
When Slipknot was first put together, I can remember going, this is fantastic. It was a collage, it was a combo, it was an amalgam of all of these different styles. Slipknot basically just kind of took everything and shredded it up and made it what they wanted. And I loved the freedom of that. And I was at their very first live show as Slipknot, and I was front row, and it was so insane that I remembered saying to myself, and I'd never done this before, I was like, I'm going to sing for this band someday.
That's what the first album is all about, is realizing it's time, it's on, it's yours, it's what you've needed, it's what you've wanted, and now it's time. You've had your whole life to be what you finally have dreamt of.
I wanted to go heavier. I wanted to embrace something heavier because that was a lot like the music that I listened to, you know, everything from Metallica to Slayer to Ministry, like the hardcore Ministry sound, you know, like I loved that stuff. And I wanted to do more of that, and also be able to incorporate some of the melody that it felt like Slipknot was missing at the time.
Ross Robinson got a tape of the band, and as soon as he heard it, he was like, I want to work with these guys. So he was going to front his own money to do this band. You know, that's how much he believed in it and how much he saw the potential.
Ross was a great producer to have for a band that never worked with a producer before, because he is very involved with what you do.
We didn't know what the hell we're doing. You know, we didn't know music business.
Yeah, most of us never left the state before, so.
So working with him was great, though, because he was nuts, crazy, fun, and, you know, always made you feel good to be there.
And I remember Ross just had his headphones on, he was rocking out to a song, and I had this new Jackson guitar that they just made for me with this custom inlay and fucking, you know, quilt maple top and all this, you know, badass new $3,000 guitar or whatever, and he just drop kicked the guitar right out of my hands. And that's sort of his mentality. I mean, it's not about anything material or anything physical, it's about the energy that you create.
Ross's greatest asset was understanding how this band needed to be and how intense it was and how many moving parts there were inside the band.
Ross loved working with analog, and I don't know, I'm glad we did it. Like, it's a whole different kind of mindset when you're in a studio. You could play your amp in this room and it sounds like whatever, but then try to translate that through a microphone onto the tape. There's so much to that aspect of it, which it's challenging and it's fun.
We were all in my old apartment on 28th Street in Des Moines when we first got the rough mixes, basically. And I can remember we were just blown away.
We did manage to get a more raw sound, and it doesn't sound flat. Some of that juicy, honest kind of sound you get from analog.
There was such a frenetic energy there that it was almost like an unleashing.
He was able to keep that intensity during the recording of each person, and it just kept that angst, that, pretty much sent us off, on the road, just ready to kill, ready to take over the world.
And the one thing that I love about what we do in these fucking masks, when these masks come off, you know you went for it. They're not nice. They're not made to be air conditioned.
Well, I ended up wearing a bondage hood that was a size too small for my head, so my sweat was just filling up inside of this thing, and my ears were literally under water, under sweat, and it was, I couldn't move, and it was pushing my jaw back, and it was just extremely uncomfortable.
And the outside explains the inside. Mask 1, barely see the eyes, barely hear me, creepy ass fucking clown. That clown will kill you. That clown doesn't think. That clown doesn't care.
There's just something not right about it, and I think that's a little bit of the mentality of the band. There's just really not something right about it, you know what I mean? None of us knew that it would ever have any sort of significance, just kind of rolling the dice and wondering, is this going to work? Is this going to be a year? Is this going to be one album? Or are we going to be able to make a career out of it?
We just expected a certain level, and it just turned out that everybody liked it a lot.
We were convinced that there were 10 other new bands that were going to be bigger than we were, and then, God, were we wrong. And it got so crazy after the Cold Chamber tour, which was our tour after Ozfest, that nobody wanted to take us out on the road with them. Nobody wanted us to open for them, because we would play and then half the audience would leave. From day one, we were setting the tone for everything that was going to come after that. However, we burn ourselves out really, really hardcore.